Hello guys, we are joined with International Master Ajay Santhosh. Ajay, how was your game?
It was really great. I played a slightly dubious opening, but it got messy and I got a win at the end.
So you just said that you played a messy opening. So was it intentional to play it like yes, when you prepared yesterday night? So was it intentional to play something like this?
Unfortunately, I did not prepare this line, and it was a last moment decision to go into this variation, and luckily I won.
Okay, so can you show us the critical moment where you think that you got the upper hand?
Yeah, the game started like d4, knight f6, c4, b6, knight c3, bishop b4, and queen c2 was really unexpected for me. I castled a3, bishop into c3, queen c3. And yesterday this happened in my opponent's game, but he was black and he lost. So I did not want to play the exact line he played, so I chose d5, bishop g5, c5, takes d4, queen f3, e5. This line is like known for being a pawn down for black for a really long time, but white's pieces are not developed and the king is in center, so I think it's enough compensation. E3, knight c6, and there are like lots of threats in the air like queen a5 check, knight into b4. There's also sometimes e4 d3 with a very solid passed pawn. So he just decided to play b4 to just avoid queen a5. I thought even bishop f6 directly is interesting, but I think he thought b4 is slightly better. I played bishop e6. I just want to develop because his pieces are so bad and I just want to attack next, but he took on f6. I think this was a slightly critical moment where I had the choice. I couldn't take with the pawn. I'm pawn down and his king is in center, so I can try for attack, but I thought a lot for this move and I did not find any attack, sadly, because the center is really closed and also the king side and queen side are not open enough for an attack. So I decided just to take with the queen and exchange the queens. But now he's a pawn up sure, but his pieces are so underdeveloped and I can just get my pieces so quickly, which is what happened. He played knight f3, I played rook f d8, and he can't take, of course, because he'll lose some pawns after that and I can win. He long castle, which was I think a good decision, because now he forces me to take, or if he takes, many pieces get exchanged, then activity doesn't matter. I decided I'll take and he took, which I think is a good decision for him because lesser pieces on the board, lesser my advantage of development counts. But I think I got a really good a5, b5, knight d7, and again the same thing happened. His structure is now a bit broken and his pawns are weak, which is exactly what I want. I want his pawns so I can just not be a pawn down. He played g4 and now I think it's a really critical moment. Of course he has a very simple trap. I can't take the pawn. He can go to g1 and it's a pin and I just lose a piece. And also he has a threat of g5 because he wants to say, okay, my pawns are weak, fine, your pawns are weak too, I just want to exploit them. I played knight d7 because I really want his pawn, because I'm pawn down, I can't afford to be a pawn down for the rest of the game. He played g5 and I think this was the most critical moment of the game because my structure is a bit bad. I had to play king g7, which I think was a great decision. I am supporting my pawn structure, and in the end game you should always bring your king first, which I am doing. And I also want his pawn and my pawn's protected. And I think because of this move, because he missed this move, he got a bad position. He plays c6, I took, he took, knight c5, I got my outpost, and these two pawns are really weak. So I think already it should be practically better for me. He played bishop e2. I think he just finally wants to bring his rook in the game because it was just doing nothing for the whole game. I played rook c8. I really want to take, and I think here he missed that if he plays rook f1, bishop h3, rook f2, knight e4, the rook's trapped. So to avoid that, he played h4, and I think this was a not so good decision because now he gives me this square, which I think I exploited really well. I played knight e4, and now my knight's so active on the e4 square. These two pawns are really weak. I'm just a pawn down, but I'll eventually get these. He took, I took, and he played an interesting move, knight g5. I can see the vision. If I take, he'll get this pawn, I'll get that pawn, and then he just wants to play for a draw forever. But I just played knight g3. He took the pawn, king e7, rook h2, takes, bishop into c4. My idea is pretty simple. This knight is very passive. I'm getting this pawn, so there will be equal pawns. And overall, bishop versus knight in games, usually the bishop is better unless the position is closed. Here, it was critical for him, but he was really low on time, so he couldn't find the good move, rook b2. His knight is pretty passive, so he has to have an active rook to compensate for that. And after takes and king d2, it should end in a draw if he plays accurately from now. But he did not find this, and he played rook f2. I took, he played knight g5, I played f6, knight f3, bishop d5, king b2, rook b6 check, and I think from here it was a really clean game. He played king c2, rook b3, rook d2, bishop b6. Unfortunately, he doesn't have rook b3 supporting all the pawns because I can play e4, takes. And after taking, my pawn's just too fast, he can't defend it. So he played rook e2. I just got a free pawn, and now check and takes. It should be losing for him, that's why he played knight d2. And here I played really interesting move, just king f7. I don't want to do anything. His pawn is not that good right now. I just go and grab that. He played rook e1, which makes sense. He wants his rook here and slowly just push that pawn and compensate for what he doesn't have. I played rook e4, I think, which is a really smart move. If he provokes his pawn, his knight will be bad forever. So he played rook h1, but I think he missed my tactic of rook a2, king d3, e4 check. He can't take it with the king, he can't go king here because bishop check and he loses the knight. If he takes with the knight, I can just pin this and I'll get the piece for free. He had to go king c3, rook a3, king c2, take, rook a1. But okay, now I have two very strong passive pawns. I played rook h3, he took, e3, knight e4, e2. He has to stop the pawn from defending. I just tried to go bishop and he resigned. But if he takes, I can just play rook e3 and get the knight for free. And I'm just a piece up which is winning. I think really good game today.
Okay, so just one thing. Why you promoted it to the bishop in the end?
I don't know, I just thought it's really funny.
Okay. So one more thing, Ajay, that I've been like seeing this year, that your performance is really well this year. You played really well in Baku, and I think you scored your nom there.
Yeah, I scored my first nom.
You scored GM nom in Baku.
Yeah.
After that, recently the Mumbai Masters finished in which you finished in the third place, if I'm not wrong.
Third.
Also in Dhanpat Rai, you finished in
Yeah, I finished second.
second. So just one thing that I wanted to ask is that you decided to play this Dhanpat Rai event, right?
Yeah.
And I think you are the top seeded,
I was the second seed.
second seed, right? So what was the mindset behind it that okay, you are going to get paired against lower rated players also, right? You can get paired against 1800, 1900, and I've seen players who avoid this, who avoid to play against lower rated players. So what's your mindset?
I think it's not a good mindset to just be afraid of their rating, and if you lose or you draw, you lose some rating. In my opinion, you should just play the board. You don't care about the opponent, you just play the game, whoever it is. Because if you are scared of lower rated players, you can't grow.
That's correct. And one more thing, that you finished in the third place in the Mumbai, right? And in the last game you got paired against Inyan. So have you had a thought that okay, this is my time, or maybe if I want to stop him, or you thought that okay, let's just play out?
I didn't think much, I just prepared and he played well, he had white, he managed to draw. Also, I think he wanted the championship, so he didn't want to overpress against me. But yeah.
Okay, one last thing, Ajay. Currently you have one GM nom, right?
Yeah.
And what's your live rating?
Right now my rating is 2503 in this
Two.
round.
Okay, that's nice. And how is it here in Chennai? Because I think this is the first time you are playing a closed round robin tournament in India, right?
Yeah.
Because it really happens. Like Chola Chess conducted the first GM round robin, and now it's the second time they are conducting the GM round robin. So how does it feel to play in India?
I mean, I'm really grateful to Chola Chess, and I'm really like happy to play in my home ground in India. And I hope these tournaments keep happening so more and more players like me can become GM.
Okay, that's nice. And what's your plan after this tournament? Do you have any tournaments coming up?
Yeah, I have some tournaments in Europe to try and finish my GM title, like Dole, CSK, and some more open tournaments.
Okay, that's nice. Okay, then congratulations for your victory and all the best for your next round.
Thank you.